Okay. Apparently, I like doing things that scare me, and I don't like doing it alone. So, I'm an entrepreneur, and can I just have a show of hands? Any other entrepreneurs out here? Oh, amazing. Okay, I was like, where are my people? It's this group, great. So, the decision to be an entrepreneur was not made by me. Who would want this for themselves? Who would want this for their children? I don't think any parent would encourage their child to be an entrepreneur because we know what it takes. In the year 1997, I lived in the Philippines for 2.5 years. And when I got back into Vancouver looking for a job, I was hired at the Vancouver City Jail. It was just a temporary job, but I knew where my skills were, and I was a great cook. I was a great baker. My parents owned a Filipino restaurant in Vancouver when I was in kindergarten, and my aunt taught me how to bake. So I was great at it. My time at the jail, it's funny how it comes full circle, was gonna come to an end, and I had to think about what was I gonna do next. So I looked online and I signed up at the Culinary Institute of America. I wanted to take a course on how to plate desserts, how to make beautifully plated desserts so that I could work at a fancy restaurant. But guess what? That course was full, was unavailable, and the next choice was wedding cake decorating. So I thought, okay, I'll do it, why not? I didn't know what I was getting into, but I was excited. So this 10-day course was for professional bakers already. And it condensed what you might have taken over 2 years at a business school, the program into how to create a wedding cake business. And I loved it. I ate it all up. So the jail stint ended. Actually, that's where I met my husband. He was not on the other side of the bars. He was a guard, and I had made a turkey dinner. It was Christmas, and he ate the turkey dinner, and the way to a man's heart is through its stomach. It's true. So we got married in the year 2000 in May. In June, I got pregnant. I had my second son the next year, 2002. And within a span of 4 years, I had 3 children. So this was the circumstance of my life. And that's how entrepreneurship found me. After being on maternity leave for 2 years, there was no way I could go back to a 9-to-5. As well, my 2.5-year-old son was diagnosed with autism. So I needed the flexibility, I needed the freedom to be available to my kids. So I thought, how can I make an income? I'm a stay-at-home mom who didn't want to spend all her time with kids all the time. I needed some adult stimulation every so often, some adult conversation. So I thought, I'm going to start a wedding cake business from home. So I went to City Hall and I got my official business license, and that launched my career into entrepreneurship. And I was a home-based professional wedding cake maker for 12 years. So the kids grow up, right? I was getting to a point where the wedding cakes weren't as exciting anymore. You know, after you do something for so long, you start getting tired of it, and you wake up almost dreading that next consultation or that next wedding cake delivery, which, by the way, is very stressful. You're driving in your car, and if you move, you're like, the wedding cake is moving. It's like every turn I was taking, I was like, oh my God, the cake is moving. And it's so hot, and got to blast on the air conditioning. Anyways, I felt like that career was coming to an end, but I didn't know what I was going to do next. So I experienced what I now know to be is a healing crisis. And a healing crisis happens when you're looking for something that is so big and so out there, and you're looking for something that's going to be sustainable for you, but you don't know where to look first, and you have no idea how you're going to do it. So I was spiraling. I was working out with a personal trainer, and he started introducing breath work, meditation, Tai Chi, yoga, and I was loving it. One day, I came in to the studio feeling totally defeated. And he said, instead of a training session, it became a talking session. And he said, I think I have someone who can help you. So the next time I came in, his friend Baljeet was there, and I had my first double Reiki session. And this is what happened. I'm laying on the couch, and they're putting their healing hands over me. And I could feel some sort of movement, up and down my spine, around my head. The fog feels like it's lifting. And there was a moment where I felt my body sink a little lower. And I was like, I got up and I said, I feel like I'm back. How does that work? What did you do? So what I was really feeling was fragmented. I was feeling like aspects and pieces of myself were just all over the place, and I was struggling to bring these pieces back to myself to feel whole and complete again. So that didn't do it. Therapy doesn't do it. Medication doesn't do it. I got to the point where I said, you know what, Baljeet? I'm going to need a one-on-one session with you. I'm going to need an Akashic record reading. I don't even know what that is. Apparently, the Akashic records are like the library of your soul. And this is where all the answers are. So I have a session with Baljeet, which, by the way, feels like 10 therapy sessions condensed into 3 intense, lots of tears, lots of hurt, lots of struggle, lots of pain that are coming up. But guess what? It's okay. It feels good. It feels like the release that I needed that had been building up over many, many years. And by the way, she's also psychic. So part of this reading was, April, I see you surrounded by a group of women, and there's like chandeliers in the background. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means. Maybe there's some food involved. Maybe there's some desserts. I think I can handle that. But I push it aside, and I just go on living my life. Next thing you know, I actually ended my career in wedding cakes, and I started a granola company. In 2011, I started Granola Girl. It was January. By, I would say, February, I was out hustling. I was going to the markets, I was going to the craft fairs, I was giving out samples, I was at a grocery store in Kitsilano, and this woman says, "This looks really great. You're an entrepreneur. You need to network. You need to like go out there and meet people and promote your product and talk about it." So I said, "Okay, well, where do I go?" "Well, I have this group. It's called BNI, and we would love to invite you." I thought, okay, I'll go. It was close to my house. It was at Monk McQueen's, what was then Monk McQueen's. So I parked my car, and I entered this room, and I feel, okay, a little nervous. I don't know anybody. So people start doing their introductions, and I become deeply, deeply uncomfortable. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Who am I to be here? These are all people, experienced business owners. I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't go to business school, and they all have their scripts. You know, it's all sorted out, and everyone's memorizing these things. And I'm like, okay. I felt like an alien. I was actually observing a lot of interaction, but not a lot of connection. And so I was just like, okay, this feels a little icky for me. It didn't feel like a fit. I leave, go back to my car. My car is boxed in the parking lot. I can't even escape. I have to go back and say, can someone please move their car? And I'm like, I really know that I don't belong here. But if this is what it takes to get my business known and promoted, is this what I'm gonna have to do? So I go back home, and I'm thinking, because this is what entrepreneurs do, we like to solve problems, right? We see a gap, and we're like, how can we make this better? How can I make this my own? So I call Baljeet, and I'm like, okay, remember that vision you had of me with women and chandeliers a year ago? I think I see where this is going. I can finally see the vision that you had for me. And I said, I'm gonna have a networking party done my way. It's gonna be a tea party, and I'm gonna call it Serendipity Tea Party. So on my birthday in 2011, Baljeet invited 7 friends. I invited 7 entrepreneurs from the wedding industry. And we came together in my living room. And Baljeet's friends were all showing up at my door. Oh, hi, you know, I love the vibe. You have great energy. This feels so in alignment. Everything is resonating. And I'm like, what language are you speaking? And it felt familiar. It was like hearing a different language, but I was comfortable with it. And so what we discovered was, you bring in a bunch of entrepreneurs, you bring in a bunch of intuitives and coaches. And we said, guess what, ladies? We have so much to learn from each other. They need to learn how to promote themselves. They need to be more intuitive. They need to learn how to be more in their heart and how to follow their guidance. We didn't need business classes. We needed to learn from each other how to tap in and tune in and check in and recognize and have that awareness of how we feel in our bodies, right? This is totally different language. This is not anything I would present at a business course because it's unfamiliar, because it's actually what I feel is the new paradigm of how we need to connect and interact with each other. So the Serendipity Tea Parties became a place that satisfied what I was looking for, deeper connection with others. I also felt that I didn't have a community of friends and families to support me as an entrepreneur. I felt like they didn't have the same mindset. So these women became like my safety net, Anytime anyone would come with a struggle, with a funk, with a situation, it was a safe place to share and feel supported. As well, a lot of women were coming to share their own stories, just like tonight, to inspire others to keep moving forward. What I learned about why businesses fail, actually, are three things. There is a lack of information or resources. There's a feeling of overwhelm, or there's a lack of support. So what Serendipity Tea Parties became was that support system for any entrepreneur when they were going through challenges. I remember one day, as I was leading the Circle of Women, which started at 14 and grew to like 30 people were showing up at a time, I said, you know that quote, "The truth will set you free"? I felt like this was the place I could tell the truth. This was the place that I could show up without the business suit, without the power suit, without the mask on, saying, oh my gosh, everything is great. It's so good, you know, with a fake smile. But there's so much pain and agony and that gut-wrenching soul pain that you feel when your number's in the red and you can't stop the bleeding. It was okay to say that because there was no judgment. So I'm going to share 3 vocabulary words because this is my type of business school. The cosmic kick in the ass. Some might call it that wake-up call. Now, if you're going through a tough time, as I was, I called my friend, and he goes, you know what, April? I love you, and I support you, but the next time you call me, you're not going to tell me the same problem that I've heard you say and talk about the past 3 times we've interacted. And I was like, oh, are you my friend? But yes, he was. It was coming from a loving place. And he said, what he was really saying was go out there and go do the work and come back with a success story. I don't want the sob story. I don't want April in victim mode. I want the empowered April coming forward to share what she's learned, not only for her business, but for her life. So those people can give you that cosmic kick in the ass, as a lot of coaches do as well. Conversely, there's the cosmic giggle. Cosmic giggle is that big aha moment. It's when you're going through that trying time and you can look back on it and laugh and say, that was a really difficult experience. However, there was a gift in that. There was a learning. There was an offering. That test was there to help me grow and expand. And one last thing. This is going to be really comforting because this really exists. It's called the universal autocorrect. And this means you can't get it wrong. If you feel you've made a decision and it just wasn't right, guess what? The universe sweeps in and it says, no, yeah, okay, you made that decision, but really, you need to go here a bit. And it works itself out. That happened when I almost sold my company. At the 11th hour, I almost signed the papers to the wrong person. And I got a phone call, I'm going to say by an angel friend, who said, if you sign those papers, I don't think I could be your friend anymore. So that was the autocorrect. It was like someone prevented me from making that really huge mistake by stepping in. And I'll end by closing by saying, I feel so grateful, so grateful. I'm so supported. I have built an amazing network of people, of healers, of coaches, of just really, truly amazing people that I don't even have to reach out anymore. You know what? They check up on me. If I'm going through a difficult time, I'll get that little nudge on Messenger. It's like, hi, I haven't heard from them for maybe 3 or 4 months. And they're like, how's April? How are you doing today? And I'm like, well, funny you should ask. It's not really the best time. Well, why don't you come on my massage table? Why don't you come for a healing session? Why don't you? I'm trying out this thing with singing bowls and Reiki. I'm like, I'm all over that. You know what? I've got a big meeting on Friday. I really need some extra energy here in my solar plexus to build my confidence and to show up at that meeting to the boys club because I'm the only girl showing up to the boardroom. And I need to find that strength and courage to really show up in the truth of who I am without wavering. So, I didn't barely have to use all these, but I'm going to end with a quote. It's by Kyle Gray, and he wrote the book, Raise Your Vibration. This is really the journey, raising your vibration, aligning with the right people, aligning with the right situations, being open to more serendipitous moments in your life. And Kyle Gray says, when you take the time to acknowledge who you are, focus your mind, and meditate, you create room in your life to grow, and you encourage your heart to open up and connect deeply with the flow of life. Thank you very much.